Okay, let's look at this topic on geometry and setting up a nonlinear system of equations. So there's lots of different ones of these, but the general idea is you're going to set up two equations, and then you're going to solve them as a system. So in this case, the first one I just said a rectangle has an area of 22.14. This is just some random problem I pulled off of Alex, and a perimeter of 19. And I want to find the length and the width. So I'm going to go ahead and name the length and the width x and y. Doesn't matter which one. So length and width, those are interchangeable. So for area, I know area is length times width. So if I draw a little rectangle here, x and y for its width and length. So the area is x times y, because that's how you find the area of a rectangle, and that equals 22.14. The second thing we have is the perimeter, which is just all the sides added up, which is 2 of the x's and 2 of the y's equal 19. So now we have to solve this simultaneously. So the easiest way for this one probably is substitution, because I can take this perimeter equation and I can solve it for y. So I can get 2y, or x, doesn't matter. 19 minus 2x, divide everything by 2. So y is going to be 9.5 minus x. Now these numbers, obviously, as you can see, are not very nice, but we can deal with them. So I'll go ahead and plug this y into the other equation now, like a general substitution. And my equation I'm left to solve is x equals 9.5 minus x equals 22.14. So I'll go ahead and distribute. I'll get 9.5x minus x squared equals 22.14. I'm just going to move everything to the right, and that'll make it positive x squared and minus 9.5x, and then of course still positive 22.14. Now there's not a good way to factor this, so we're pretty much stuck using quadratic formula. So we get negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is going to be negative 9.5 squared, minus 4 times a, which is just 1, times c, which is 22.14, all over 2a. So I'm going to go put everything under the root into my calculator. I get 9.5 plus or minus the square root of 1.69 over 2. And believe it or not, the square root of 1.69 is a really nice number. It is 1.3. So 9.5 plus or minus 1.3 over 2, which is going to be 10.8 over 2 if I add it. And if I subtract it, I'll get 8.2 over 2. So this one's 4.1, and this one is 5.4. So those are my x values. And my y values, I can just plug these in. So for my first value of x of 4.1, if I go and put that in for x, I'll get 5.4. And ironically, if I get 5.4 in, I'll get 4.1. So either way, it doesn't matter because length and width are kind of arbitrary. They can go either way. So that's why in this case we got both values for our quadratic formula. But again, just setting up two equations, making an equation out of those and solving it for x and then finding your corresponding y. Now the second one is similar, except for it doesn't give you area and perimeter. I thought we'd do one's a little different. This one gives you perimeter and diagonal length. So we have x and x, y and y for our perimeter. So we know 2x and 2y equals 30.8. And then I know this diagonal length is 11. And why that can help me is I now know the Pythagorean theorem, which says x squared plus y squared equals 11 squared. So those are my two equations, because I can certainly solve this one for y. Well, 2y anyway equals 30.8 minus 2x. Divide everything by 2. Y equals 15.4 minus x. And I'll put that in for y. Now a little trickier in this case because we're squaring y, so we're going to square that whole expression. So we'll have to FOIL it, multiplying it by itself. So you can just write it twice and FOIL it, or however you want to do it. So this is going to be x squared. 15.4 times 15.4 will give me 237.16. This will give me negative 15. This will give me negative 15.4. So that'll give me negative 30.8x plus another x squared equals 121. I can put these x squares together, so I get 2x squared minus 30.8x, and then I'll go ahead and move the 121 over, subtracting it from my 237.16, and I get 116.16. Doesn't look very nice, but generally, the problems I've seen, this works out pretty nice in the quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus b squared, so 30.8 squared. It's technically negative, but when you square a negative, it's going to become positive. Times 4 times 2 times 116.16, all over 2 times 2. And so that's going to give me 30.8 plus or minus the square root of 19.36 over 4. And ironically, again, the square root of 19.36, even though it's pretty ugly, actually works out to be really nice. 30.8 plus minus 4.4 over 4. So if I add it, 30.4 plus 4.4 divided by 4, I'm going to get 8.7 for one possibility. Then I have to also subtract it. And so if I subtract it, I'll get 6.5. Now, the way I can check it is I can go back up here and plug it in, but if you notice again, like we talked about before, if we do 15.4 minus 8.7, let's say, then I'm going to get 6.7. But I actually made one mathematical error. This is actually 8.8, which makes this one 6.6. Then if I plug that in, I get 6.6, and my y would be 8.8. Sorry about that. Too many decimals. But that is the general idea. So once you get your two equations, again, put them together. They are not nice. The quadratic formula, obviously very, very gross on these, but that is how we go about it. If you have questions, obviously let me know.